Hi. Hello. Welcome. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Elaine, and I have the high honor of being a best friend to Leah and her maid of honor tonight. No pressure, no pressure. So, a lot of you don't know, but this is the last of a whole slew of weddings that I've attended and been a part of in the last few months. So, of course, for me, they were research for this and this speech. So, the archetypal maid of honor speech. And this is really very particular to maid of honors, not so much best men. Number one, background on how we became friends. Number two, how one day the groom swoops in all of a sudden out of nowhere. Part three, how you were initially skeptical, but then he wins you and the bride over. Sprinkle in a couple of anecdotes and cheers, cheers, blah, blah. It's great. So here's my rendition of this. So part one. I met Leah during my first year at Wellesley. Of course, I have to start this toast by talking about our alma mater. Where would we be without it? And the Wellesley women in the room, can you just cheer a tiny bit louder for her? And tonight, tonight, both of Wellesley's inscriptions come to mind. The first, less known, Incipit Vita Nova, which means here begins new life, for obvious reasons. The second, more well-known, non ministrare sed ministrare, means not to be ministered unto, but to minister. We'll get to that one in a bit. This speech is really long, I'm sorry. I'd never met anyone like Leah. As an only child, I felt a distinct and obvious lack of siblings throughout my life. So when people consistently started to believe Leah and I were sisters, the association felt apt and stuck, and I now had a sister. Leah is a wild woman. She is driven, she's beautiful, she's incredibly loving, and she doesn't take shit from anyone. Non ministrare sed ministrare. But more than all of that, she never makes you feel crazy for pursuing what excites you. In fact, she pushes you to be better, to do more, to get bendier, to plank longer, to spin upside down. Okay, those are Leah things, but you get the general picture. And when you find someone like this, you have to thank your lucky stars that they're in your corner. At Wellesley, some of the fondest times were also some of the most stressful. Leah and I somehow got the idea to escape the craziness of mid-finals Wellesley by studying at the much less crazy MIT. When we needed to take sanity breaks, we would explore the unlocked rooms in the library basement. Those were really weird. Did you know that a lot of MIT is connected by underground tunnels? I did not. So we draped ourselves in found tinsel and stole trophies from the 80s in that basement. MIT didn't really need them anyway. That's fine. Everything was weird and cool and special and new with Leah. When Leah graduated, I missed her a lot. And I was really happy to rejoin her in San Francisco after I graduated. I could tell that maybe in my absence, her spontaneity and free-spiritedness maybe got the best of her. So she, as you may or may not know, moved into a warehouse in Soma with a dozen other people. It was really Zoolander. And then she got a motorcycle. And then at some point in that period when I was not there, she punched someone in the face. She was in the Canary. I will tell you the story. She was in the Canary Islands with her grandfather surfing, and some guy pissed her off. And so she punched him in the face while holding her keys. So I told you, she is a wild woman who doesn't take shit from anyone. So, again, non ministrare sed ministrare. And then something really interesting started happening. She started becoming friends with one of her warehouse mates. His name was Harvard Dan. Okay, so this is part two, right? The groom swoops in. One night, Harvard Dan took me aside and said, Elaine, I really like your best friend. I think I might even be in love with her. He was dead serious. And my response, as any best friend would say, was, take a number. He still, by the way, like he still holds this over my head. He's like, how could you not have told Lia I said that to you? And I was like, well, how is that new from like what anyone else has said to me about Lia? So you see, I have probably heard over a dozen guys call Lia their dream girl. And she is. Like, look at her. She's amazing, right? This guy would really have to prove that he was something exceptional. And so he went about proving it. Not to me, but to Lia, but also to me a little bit. He loved her relentlessly. He embraced her eccentricities. He helped her pursue her passions. He did to Lia what she had done for all of her friends through all of these years. He pushed her to be better, to give more, to open up more. He even took over my dance costume sewing duties. Yeah, we both really like to sew, Dan and I. And now we've come to part 3, the winning over bit. So eventually Harvard Dan became just Dan, and I was able to see this really special dynamic that they had. This kind of cosmic push-pull. They challenged each other, which was new territory for both of them, where pragmatic Dan would bring Lia down to earth. Lia, the recovering hippie child, would in turn push Dan to shoot for the moon. Last year, I had a conversation with Dan where we talked about how he and Lia overcame some initial bumps, and his response was, I just smothered her with love, and I wasn't going to back down from there. It's been really beautiful to see you both grow up and grow together through all these years. And that's when my became more of a sure. All right. Setting aside those big things, I was happy that she found someone who could appreciate 30 Rock as much as we did, who loved board games more than any human should. Dan, like, be honest with us, did you bring the Monopoly deck tonight? Where is the Lupin Louie? Okay. She found someone whose family welcomed her and her entire family in with open arms, and who makes her feel as special and as loved as she makes the rest of us feel. So I leave you, my beautiful friends, and my sister with the following quote. Anyone who falls in love is searching for the missing pieces of themselves. I'm so glad you found your missing pieces, and I'm so excited for you both to start this new chapter together. Dan, you have been upgraded from an okay to a solid fire emoji. Cheers to Lia and Dan.
Nice job. Oh my God. Nice job. That was amazing. First, can we get a hand for the Sullivans and Napolitanos that put on this beautiful wedding? All right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt Zaff. I'm a college friend of Dan's and his best man. All right, here it goes. So, anyone who knows Dan knows that he often makes very interesting first impressions. For example, if you were the Harvard security guard who found him sleeping in the Adams courtyard, you might think, Dan has a drinking problem. Going hard. When I first met Dan, he wouldn't shut up about how he had this superpower where he could spin around over and over for hours and not get dizzy. Which is a power that he acquired in his backyard when he was being taught hammer throw by his father and grandfather. Dan can even make an impression on an animal. Like the time, I think he knows where I'm going with this. Like the time we found him at 2 a.m. on a beach in Punta Cana, conversing with a horse in broken Spanish.
It was a super charming horse, though.
But somehow, and I don't know how, he pulled this off. Dan made an impression on Lia, a woman who is, in Dan's own words, better than me in almost every way. Yeah, every way. It's not mince words here. I was able to see what makes Lia truly special when I spent about a month cruising on their couch when I was working at Stanford. Lia is kind, she is brilliant, she is driven, she is patient, she is radiant and beautiful. And I know for all of Dan's goofiness, all of his icebreaker first impression humor, he is a man with a big heart. And I know that he will love Lia, and I'm really excited to watch them grow together and become true partners. So with that, let's raise a glass. And in the words of the sage Homer Simpson, for you see, marriage is like an orange. First you have the skin, and then the sweet, sweet innards.
Thank you very much. I am so happy to look out and see all of your faces who've come from across the country to be here for this absolutely magnificent, spectacular, glorious, unprecedented wedding. I have been to many weddings in my life, but I have never in my life seen anything like this, and it was absolutely fantastically wonderful. When I listened to Elaine's comments, I really began to understand even more than I did before the true nature of the relationship between Dan and Lia. Because that was a set of insightful comments right there. And I completely understand every word that she said. My wife, Marion, and I, when we first heard about Lia Napolitano, it was a revelation of Danny falling head over heels, mad, crazy, in love. And we knew about this from the very beginning, from that illegally zoned. Actually, I was a former inspector general. I think there are. I identified at least 19 violations of municipal law. But if you had walked into that building like I did, in an industrial area, which had been converted to a hippie commune, thrust into the new millennium. Dan, I could not believe what I saw, and I said, I am so proud to know that my Harvard graduate son, I did not know he was referred to as Harvard Dan, was living in this industrial condo, in which to get to his bedroom he had to go outside into a side door, and it really was spectacular. I was quite jealous to see it. But the thing that struck us was Dan was completely and utterly smitten, crazy in love with Lia Napolitano. And what makes us so happy about this day is that our family is now associated with Joanna Napolitano, Michael Napolitano and Ralph Napolitano, their family, and of the many spectacular, stellar qualities of Lia, which we all know about, the one that rises above all the rest is her devotion to her family and the closeness that she has with her family. And that, to me, really touched my heart to see that. And I saw that, recognized that. I said, this is a great, loving person. My son, Dan, I am so proud of him. We have had a long association. that extends back to literally to his very birth. And I admired him when he was 18 months old, not before. But I admired him. I admired him throughout his entire life. He is a absolutely a kind-hearted, loving, great person, a human being. That's why I admire him so much. He has many skills, but the one
At least a dozen.
of which he has many skills, of which I could readily identify at least two. But his greatest skill, which has become evident to me, was being able to get Lia Napolitano to marry him. So here's to a wonderful, happy life. I raise a toast to a future of success, happiness, love throughout your entire life. God bless both of you. Thank you.
Beautiful. I love you, Dad. You're my best friend. Thank you, Danny boy.
Hello, all. I wish I could speak extemporaneously as well as Greg just did. I'm going to resort to my iPhone. First of all, I can't believe we're here at Dan and Lia's wedding. It's just amazing. To quote Christopher Walken, wow. And you're a beautiful crowd. I can't believe this many people showed up, turned out. It's amazing. You're a beautiful crowd. To quote someone else, amazing, terrific, wonderful, bigly. Believe me. I had to go there, sorry. For those of you still unsure, I am the proud father of the bride. First of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time and effort to come here. Many of you came from a long distance, and it's very much appreciated. It's wonderful to see so many people come together to celebrate the union of Lia and Dan. I'd like to specifically acknowledge Greg and Marion Sullivan for all they've done to help make this happen. And I'm not referring to just this event. I'm going all the way back to the two of you conceiving. Yes, I said that.
There's an audio video portion.
And then going on to raise an exceptional, heartfelt, caring, imaginative, and quite fun young man who is the Dan I know. I probably don't know him well enough yet. Incidentally, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to to you, Dan, to welcome you to our family as my son-in-law, as our two families are now officially merged. For those of you who may not know, Dan formally asked me permission to propose to Lia. Come on, at least give him an awe. He gets an awe for that, right? It was very special, Dan, considering you barely knew me and told me much later you were totally intimidated at the time. And all I can say is kudos, dude. Just keep the promise you made. You are a parent.
Have boys.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Italian part of the wedding, okay? You are apparently a very lucky guy in many ways, and now you're entrusted with a most precious, special, and valuable jewel, my Lia. And I only say my jewel to the degree that I helped inform and enrich your life, Lia. Of course, you informed and enriched mine at least as much. Thank you. And actually, Lia, you are a very unusual and rare amalgam of your mother and I and our extended families, many of whom are here to celebrate with you today. Mixed together with your wide range of activities, experiences, interests, we have all helped you shape and form yourself into the strong, brilliant beauty you are today, both inside and out. Going back to when your mom and I were choosing your name, I had to go here. This day stands as a reinforcement of our idealistic decision for it to be Lia, and for LIA to stand for Love is Alive. That decision, or perhaps inspiration, was and is totally appropriate then and now, although you chose to tell all your middle school and high school friends that your name stood for Lost in Arizona, brat. Anyway, Lia, on this day, yet again and ongoing, love is very much alive. And today, love is alive in the two of you as a married couple. Incredible. Amazing. I love it. While this is my speech, I'm certain I speak for your mom as well. Clearly, we wish you both the best that love, life, and marriage have to offer. However, we also refuse to have any expectations for you. Not that you would even let us go there, Lia. I know better. Instead, we choose to have a positive anticipation for what you choose, for what you value, for what you share, for what you discover, for the life you create together, Dan and Lia. We have not walked even 100 yards in either of your shoes. I would not pretend to map a path for you. How you live your lives together is your choice. We are here simply in support, whatever your aspirations, preferences, your follies, adventures, your pleasures, your disappointments, your victories, your defeats, your comebacks. With this in mind, to the degree that we can, for as long as we can, we shall be there for both of you, Lia and Dan, with much love. Namaste. Thank you.